stuff like that, accruing points, which allows him to open up extra portions of the actual board, and essentially he would be able to leave one field and travel to another, which would lead to like a 2D pinball platforming portion as he goes from one as you travel from one uh, cabinet to the next. So that's the idea, but that's not the loop. So let's figure out the core gameplay loop. Might as well do that together. That's the project, right? So let's figure out how we do we find a how do we turn that idea into a primary gameplay loop. So as mentioned, it will be in two sections. There'll be the travel. There'll be the travel section, which would be the side scroller. Um, in the travel section, you are surrounded by a um, reflexive. You're surrounded by a reflexive shield that surrounds the board. So a reflexive box, energy box. Um, all right, surrounded by a reflexive energy box. Um, uh, a player would control. Oh dear, you can tell I'm not one of those type of typists that can just type while staring at the screen. Surrounded by a reflective energy box, the player will control our hero, who um, has a flipper type bat and a magical orb, aka the pinball. And essentially, he will be in this portion of the game. The only weapon you get is that ball. You hit the ball, it hits the like. Let's say this is the box. So this would be like the road. The guy would be going down the road. You can travel. You would move forwards and back, and you would be able to progress forward and move. Um, Enemies would come into the field, and once they're in the box, you would be able to um, plunge the ball out or shoot the ball out. And once the ball is out, if it hits them, it will reflect and bounce back, in which you will be able to use the bat to hit the ball again. Or you can jump over the ball and hit it in the opposite direction if the enemy is coming from, because the enemies come from either side of the screen. And essentially, you're just basically using the bat to hit the ball into enemies, and it would bounce off of them, and there would be other pinball type of objects that you will be able to bounce off of and gain points. And essentially, that is your only weapon. You will be using the bat to hit the ball into enemies and objects, and racking up points in order to uh, um, level up your equipment, level up your weapons and stuff like that, and open up different sections of the cabinet. So, uh, if you're familiar with pinball, usually all of the features will be open for you, and you have to unlock them via by either hitting targets and stuff like that, like I was explaining earlier. You'll still have to do this in this game, but you'll also need points to um, uh, utilize constructions. So the points would basically build ramps and stuff that will give you access to further portions of the cabinet and the rest of the board. So you're regulated to certain areas of the cabinet until you gain enough points to basically use your equipment to build ramps and stuff to get yourself, either yourself or the ball, access to other portions of the cabinet, and it unlocks further things. So it leads for like a deeper experience, and it gives pinball a bigger purpose than just to rack up points, just to rack up points. Excuse me. Um, so the points you earn is pretty much part of the economy of the game. So in order to advance, it's pretty much like your mana. It's your mana points, and it's your it's what you utilize to uh, it's your currency as well as your experience. So I love, I think it would be interesting to have basically um, your money dictate your power as well. So the more points you get, the more you're able to actually spend it on equipping your equipment, or literally using it to buy access to get further into the game. Uh, I'll explain that soon. Like the, uh, I'm I'm working it out. This is the working it out portion. So, excuse me. Did not mute that. I forgot to. My apologies. Um. So, essentially, okay, and a magical orb that when that can be struck into enemies and objects to gain points that can be spent on um, upgrades and upgrades and um, um, access to uh, and gain access to uh, uh, other levels, I should say, for now. Um, that's pretty much. So, um, okay. So what's okay? Uh, so those are mechanics, but what are the loop? Okay, so yeah, yeah. Essentially, is yeah. You're trying to gain points in order to level enough to get stronger, strong enough to gain access to deeper parts of the board. There's going to be boss fights. Is this going to be like a I want it to be like a adventure uh an adventure game, except uh your weapon is just a bat, a shield, and a ball, and you can level up your shield. You can level up your ball. You can have your ball do different types of damage later on, stuff like that. Um, there's plenty to build on, but yeah, it's essentially you hitting the ball around, having it bounce around, using the shield to reflect it into enemies and stuff like that. Um, using the bat to uh, make the acceleration faster, and thus the attack stronger. And it's just momentum. Uh, you trying to control the ball and hit it into things. There'll be other enemies that will try to will hit the ball right back into you and hurt you. There's a lot of potential utilizing uh, if I can get it to work, utilizing these pinball mechanics in a basically uh, just like any other side scroller that you've seen, except with this particular gimmick. And then when you reach like a certain town or a specific spot, that's when it transitions to the uh, uh, top-down isometric view, in which it looks like more like a traditional pinball, except he's at the bottom hitting the ball up into things. He'll be able to use like gauntlets to turn like rocks into like bumpers and stuff like that. So it'll look like a natural environment, and through the natural environment, with his magic items, he'll make the environment turn into a pinball game. So the ball will hit the rocks, and it won't bounce because they're rocks. It'll just hit them and fall until you get enough points to be able to um, put the magic band around the rocks, and then suddenly they're bouncing off of it, and you're gaining points. So basically, as you affect the environment and make it resemble more and more of a pinball game, enemies will come. You'll be able to hit them into enemies, gaining more points. There'll be different sections. It'll look like a traditional pinball game, except when certain sections open up, uh, he will have to try to the player will have to try to hit the ball where they hope it'll be distracted, and then try to run over to the section where they will meet the ball and try to uh, do more in that section, and then uh, they will have to try to run back to go to the gutters and keep it from going to the out section. So I want it to be like running around as well as traditional pinball and stuff like that. But again, that's way down the line. Right now, the simplicity is just a box, make it so it's reflective, have a guy run around, and basically have the ball bounce all around and see and work from there. I just need a box, a guy, him being able to hit an orb, it to hit the wall and bounce back, and then I'll be able to add physics and stuff like that later on. But the idea: box, guy, bat, ball, hit the ball, boom, uh, it comes back. He's able to either catch it, or he's able to either hit it with his bat or make it bounce off of his shield. But right now, we're just going to focus on the bat. Right now, I just want like the first goal is just the box and the ball. If I can just get a do an exercise where the ball just bounces around, that's a good starting point. Then I know my walls are reflective. Then I build the plan is to just start building a simple environment, which there's a ground for the guy to walk on. As he travels, he moves down. Build a simple enemy type in which I'm able to shoot the ball, hit them. Uh, it flies back. I'm able to swing the object, hit the, just a stick for now. And if the ball bounces, hits, and I'll figure out how to make it accelerate and all that stuff. There's a lot of stuff to do. But again, first step: box, guy, ball, make it bounce. Then I'll add other stuff and build upon there. But that's essentially uh, the simple portion of it at first. That's what we're going to be building in the meantime, and then we'll go from there. So let's see if we have enough to fill out this. So let's do what we can. All right, for now. 27. And again, I'm so sorry. Oh, that's my birthday. What am I doing? I'm so tired. I'm so sorry. Today I worked midnight shift. I'm so tired, but I gotta do this. I want to make a video game more than I want to sleep, apparently. So, my name. Nice to meet you. And okay, you control a uh, man with a flipper bat. What the? Oh, let's undo that. Or we don't even need to do that. You control a um, uh, uh, okay. we'll focus on the side view for now. So we're only going to be forward focusing on the travel portion at first, and once we're able to get that to work, then we'll move on to the actual table version. But this is what we're going to do for now. Where